Hi guys, so today we are going to talk about, as you can see, there are a lot of flowers here. So we're going to talk about winter care for flowering plants, things that I have learned with the care of this. First of all flowering plants require sun. So winter is the only time I actually get some flower saplings or grow from seeds. The best way is to get flower saplings from the market. As you can see in my last nursery haul, I've purchased a couple of saplings, and these are all purchases. So I'll just show you. So this was a sapling. It has grown a lot of buds. Even this was a sapling. This is a very small plant. In fact, majority of the plants, these plants were also a sapling plant. So you can see that I have a very small collection of flowering plants. First of all, because the balconies that I have downstairs in my flat is east facing and west facing window, and there's very little amount of light that comes through it. If you really want flowers like this and chrysanthemums, and especially the marigolds that actually flourish, and you want the flower size to be this big and actually blooming and thriving, it needs a lot of sun. So that's why these plants have been kept in terrace. But as terrace is a common space for me, I have very little flowering plants, some chrysanthemums and some marigold. I've recently planted some balsam plants, and I've put this vinca and replanted it from a smaller pot. So basically this is the flowering plant. I want to talk about the problems that we face, and what are the challenges of flowering plants and what it requires, and so on and so forth. So let's dive into it. First and foremost, the easiest way of for chrysanthemums, I usually buy plant saplings at the onset of winter in Kolkata. Like for example, you can go in November and buy saplings. At that point they'll be full of buds. So if you buy a plant in the bud stage, you can enjoy the flowers for much longer. So for example, if you see this one, I've been enjoying this flower. So the flower started looking like this. See, some more buds are coming in. So initially the flower looked like this, and now slowly it's discoloring, but still very beautiful. Similarly in this also, you see some of them have already started drying. So I've been enjoying this for about a month now. Usually chrysanthemums give 2 rounds of buds. So the first round I think will be spent in another 15 days or so. In another week I'll have to cut it off. So I keep cutting these guys off if the flowers are spent. So for example, see, this has dried off and this is spent, so there's no point of this. I'll just cut this off. Just cut this off so that it focuses on the new buds that are coming in. So it focuses on this bud, and this bud. So if I see a spent or not well flower, I'll just remove them. Why? Because they're not doing well for infection reason or whatever. And let me show you this. The same thing is true for chrysanthemums. You can choose to cut them off immediately, or when the flower dries off completely, you can remove them post that. Now let me show you some of the pest problems of the flowering plants. Do you see the amount of pests on this flower? So that's why this flower will never grow to its full size. So this plant is entirely infected. One of the primary reasons I never keep flowering plants with my foliage plants is because of this reason. Because if this infection spreads to my foliage plants, it becomes a huge mess. And you see, I have kept a distance between this plant and these plants. The infection, I'm guessing, of this plant started from chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemums are one of the most, chrysanthemums and hibiscus, I have seen with my experience that they get infected very fast, and they infect other plants. So whenever you buy chrysanthemums, just make sure that you keep it in terrace where there is more sun. More sun means less chances of infection. Apart from that, I also keep on spraying them with neem oil, and so the entire leaf up and down will be sprayed with neem oil, and neem oil dishwash soap solution. So you see, these plants are not infected. That's why I'll keep a lookout on that for these insect infections. And to prevent, usually marigolds are very resilient towards infection, but I am seeing that this flower is becoming unhealthy, so I'll just remove them a little bit downstairs. That's it. I see this flower is also not growing well. If a flower is not growing well due to infection, I'll just remove them. Right. So this is pretty much it. And I see a lot of new fresh leaves coming in, and this is how I'll reduce the infection basically. I'll just remove the infected flowers as much as possible. I'm seeing that this is infected as well, so I'll just remove them so that it focuses on, you would see the amount of infection that is there. It's insane. But these flowers don't have any infection. Even then, I will keep on spraying this. So I initially found an ant infestation, and that told me that probably ant hem. If there's an ant infestation, that means something is going on other than the ants itself, because they are not always singularly present. They are always present with a pest. So you can see, for example, here the flowers are all spent. It had a beautiful chrysanthemum flower. I'll attach a picture of that. So I had cut it off, and the moment I cut it off, there has been an immense amount of growth from downstairs. All of this is new growth and new buds that have come in. There's a beautiful bud that is flowering up. There are many more buds that are here. So the moment you tell a plant that okay, these flowers are spent and I want to cut it off, it will start focusing on new buds and growth. And to promote buds for flowering plants, I use a fertilizer called rosebud fertilizer. I'll also attach a link of that below. I use that fertilizer, alternating it with either a seaweed fertilizer or a fish based liquid fertilizer. I alternate that with that, and I apply it every 3 weeks or so, 3 to 4 weeks. I apply fertilizer. And you can see that the soil is a little bit dry right now, even though it has been watered today morning. So flowering plants require more sun, and if it's in terracotta pot, it gets dry faster. So you will have to water it again in the afternoon. So that's the thing. Oops, it overflew, but that's pretty much something that you are not supposed to do. Anyway, so this is pretty much the summary of what I've learned. Remove infected sections and make sure your infestation is not, you have to remove this, and make sure your infestation is not caught up by other plants. And that's pretty much it. Fertilize them, give them sun. Unless you give them sun, you're not going to get the results like this. So yeah, I'm waiting for the balsam flowers to come on in. And this is another plant that my mother bought. I think one of the branches are broken. So here, see, you'll spot some of the branches are oftentimes broken in transit. Make sure that you remove them, because the plant will keep spending. This was hanging like this. It was broken from here, half broken from here. So you have to remove them, because the plant will focus on repair of this. So I have a small box to put all the flowers and all of that there. So I keep coming in with a scissor or a clipper to actually make sure that the plant is focusing all of its energy on new growth and new buds, not on spent flowers or infected flowers. So that's pretty much the summary of this. Give it plenty of sun, fertilizer, and have a look out for pests, and keep it a little bit distant from each other. I've kept this in a little bit of a gap, and these three were infected initially, so I kept it at the So hope this helps you in some way of understanding. I have very little knowledge about flowers, but this is mostly from my experience, and my channel is mostly focused on foliage plants. But as you know, I'm interested in all kinds of plants, and this is the season of colorful flowers. and of course that's my interest as well, and hope this helps you in understanding what a flowering plant would need if you really want colorful small garden at your very small space. Make sure it gets a little bit of sunlight, and that's the primary requirement of these plants. See you soon. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and do check out all my other videos, and hit the subscribe button and like it if you learn anything from this video at all.